Another thing that libs don't like seeing is when, well, you do things that are common sense, policy driven issues, and, well, they just don't like it. The most recent iteration of this is when President Trump signed the executive order saying, hey, you need to be able to prove that you can vote, i.e., be it you're a citizen, in order to, well, vote. That's pretty common sense. I think everybody agrees with that. Well, it didn't take long before a bunch of libs got together and filed a lawsuit trying to stop that executive order. Let's bring our panel back in. Brandon and Dave here talking about this idea that, well, civil rights groups, including the NAACP and I believe the ACLU, got together and said, no, we don't need to have to prove things in order to be able to vote. We don't need to prove that we're a citizen in order to vote. I thought this quote was particularly funny from an attorney from the ACLU. We know that providing documentation in general tends to fall more heavily on people who are already having so many obstacles thrown at them in their life. And if you're wondering where's the race part of it, don't worry, it's coming in the second sentence. These barriers, these are real barriers for populations that unfortunately intersect very much with voters of color. Dave, I want to start with you as a minority, I guess, if I'm looking at the screen accurately. What do we have to do to get those dumb minorities to just be able to get an ID? Because apparently the libs think that, we're just so stupid that you can't possibly have a verification of citizenship in order to be able to vote.
Well, there just needs to be more liberal white handholding. If we could just white liberals to give car rides to brown people to the DMV. And here's the thing, man, I'm kind of on their side. Kind of on their side when it comes to how difficult it is to get ID, and it all rests on the fact that you have to deal with the government to get these documents. It really is. It's a pain to try and get support. I've been trying to get a real ID for months now. They want me for a real ID to come up with all kinds of documents. I either need to have my naturalization paper, I need to have passport, I need to have a phone bill. I think I also, maybe need to have the diaper that I've been when I was 8 months old. All of these things to get a real ID. Hell, it's not racist for the state of California to require you to do that in order to take domestic flights. Somehow, Trump, and look, I think Trump knows that he can't just issue an executive order to change election law. I think he knows this. I think he's just to troll the left, to get them to lose their minds over something that pretty much makes sense, right? Yeah. I mean, we know this. We know he can't do this. He's just forcing them to lose their minds, and I think that's sort of a lot of what his executive orders are. They're symbolic, and they're also meant to trigger them in ways that sort of, just them show their hand.
Yeah, that is a lot of interesting points there. Yeah, I think everybody agrees with, hey, executive order is not how you govern the country, but the only reason the presidents have been doing that lately is because Congress won't do their freaking job. And also, that's an interesting argument there. Yeah, the only problem with having an ID to vote is you have to deal with the freaking government that really just sucks. Hey, Brandon, so I guess to that point, libs, I feel like, are stepping in their own mess, for lack of a better term, saying, well, you need an ID to vote and it's super difficult to get an ID. And also we're the reason, the big government people, of why it's super difficult to get an ID. It kind of seems like a circular, kind of ironic situation they got going on there.
Yeah, I just, the irony in all of this is they come off as the most racist people with their arguments. They are, it's like, a few years ago, was it Vice President Kamala Harris said, black people don't know how to use computers. And then you see these people on TikTok, these black men on TikTok parading around the computer, trying to figure it out like they're Zoolander or something. And, they say the most insulting things to these people, like, oh, we can't have voter ID because they don't know how to get to the DMV. We can't have voter ID because they don't know how to obtain an ID. It's like, these are people that know how this world works. So the more they say it, the more racist and loony they look.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's very demeaning to folks like me who I figured it out. I figured out how to prove my citizenship. So I guess I'm just I'm one of the smarter ones according to the libs.